Hello there, everyone. It is me again. My name's Catherine Milleron, and this is Make It Make Sense. So, I had originally started this podcast with the idea that I was going to tell stories about different things from my life and the things I've learned, and maybe pass along a little wisdom and things like that. Then, after uh, Donald Trump got elected, and the news just became so flooded with something different every single day that this regime is up to, then I kind of switched gears and I was trying to report on the news of what was happening. And, it just really, really became overwhelming. And especially because it's just a constant flood every single day. And so I do believe that just like I do, everybody needs to take a break from all of that at some point in time, have a reprieve. So I decided I'm going back to my original idea to tell stories because I myself have a lot of other interests, but I do want to keep on top of what's going on. So I still stay engaged with listening to what is happening and the people that I follow on YouTube and everything like that. But I also, you know, have gone back to listening to my podcasts that I like, and I like storytelling podcasts. I like true crime and different things like that. So I've kind of gone back to that as well because I just don't want to be consumed 24/7 with everything that's happening in the political realm because it's a lot. So my daughter, I'm not going to tell her whole story because her and I haven't discussed me talking about it on my podcast, but I will say that she is going through a divorce. And not going to get into any details about that. Her and I might do a podcast together if she wants to talk about it, but I just only said that to say that since she has been going through this situation, we've been doing a lot of talking about marriage and about what it means and how it tends to work out for most people. And my brother and I were talking on the phone about it, and um, we are two of five children. He said there's been infidelity in every single marriage in our family, and I said, yeah, there has. And um, we were talking about that, and my sister and I talk about that a lot too. But it also goes further because one of the biggest things that I've noticed in this with the younger generation, millennials, millennials in particular, they have trended towards waiting to get married, which I think is smart. They don't get married as young, um, and you've heard people talking about. I know Elon Musk has mentioned it more than once. His concern about the declining of our population and the low birth rates and everything like that. And I do believe that the reason for that is because number one, everything is so freaking expensive that most people nowadays can't afford to have more than one or two children. It's just not affordable. And I think that has a lot to do with it. And I think it has a lot to do with people waiting to get married because, women do have a biological clock, and that clock eventually does run out. And also, it's very, very, very taxing on a woman's body to carry a child. And so, when you are a little older and you decide to start having children, you're not going to have as many because your body just can't take it. And then you also end up in a high risk category and all of those things. So, back in my day, in our generation, we all got married young. maybe not, we were maybe a little older than the generation before us, but not by much. My parents got married. My mom was, I think she was 15 when they got married, and my dad was 17. That was very common back then. I got married the first time at 19, and I look back now and I don't know, a lot of people say, oh my God, that's so young, but it didn't seem that way to me because it was pretty much the norm. And, um, and nowadays, people usually wait until mid to late 20s, sometimes even early 30s to get married. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying it's just been the trend. But when you do start having children younger, then you do have that more years, I guess, of of having the chance to have more children. But we've noticed that it is trending towards people having less children, and and so yeah, that's happening. But when it comes to marriage, like one of the things that my daughter and I were talking about, I said, well, I feel like that, you know, sometimes people just grow apart, and then sometimes things become a little stagnant after you've been together so long. And, people always say that, marriage is work, which it is. And you have to wake up and choose that person every single day and that kind of thing. But, you know, sometimes it's just a matter of irreconcilable differences. You just grow apart and it's just time to move on. So we have been kind of questioning the whole the whole need, or I shouldn't say need. I'm trying to find the right word. The whole like idea of marriage and what does it really mean, and is it really necessary? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Is it really necessary? Should people really get married? And I know if someone chooses to, that's of course their choice, but we the way that it was established, um, I guess is a lot. Things are just so much different than they were back in the old days, I guess you could say. And women now have a lot more choices. They have a lot more independence. They have a lot more job security, more education, and opportunities that women haven't always had. And so all of that is a good thing, of course. So they have the choices that they can make on whether or not they want to have a career, they want to have a family, or they want to do both, or not have a career and you know stay at home to raise their children. They have choices, a lot more choices, and I think that that plays a big part in it too. And me personally, I have been married 3 times, and I've been divorced since 2008. So that's how long it's been since I have been married, and I I say to people I don't recommend it to anybody, and if you choose to do it, choose to do it, go right ahead, whatever makes you happy. But I don't recommend it, and you know, I still get emotional at weddings. I'll even cry at weddings. I do love, but um, I just don't know. I think sometimes maybe we should change our expectations, not lower them, but just kind of go into a situation knowing like this may or may not last. This can just be something temporary that's going to be fun for me to do, and then I'm going to move on. And because I don't know, I just see what I've seen throughout my life in relationships of different people and friends, family. Um, it just always ends up falling apart at some point, and they just aren't sustainable. And sometimes, even when they are, and they've been together a long time, they're still not happy, and they've chosen to settle, or whatever the case may be. It's been very rare that I've actually witnessed a truly happy and healthy relationship or marriage. It's a rare thing. And I know they exist and I know it can be accomplished. And I'm not trying to bash anyone because, it takes two to make something work. It takes two to make it, it takes two to break it. And, so, um, but two people have to be on the same page and have to decide, hey, I'm going to get up every single day. I'm going to choose you. I'm going to put in the work that's required. Now that I have you, I want to do what I can to keep you. And it goes both ways. So I'm not one of these, I'm not a man hater, or anything like that. I just, I've been single now. The last video I talked about dating, and I've been single for 7 years, and I enjoy my freedom. And I am interested in dating, but I am not interested in a relationship. I am not interested in being tied down or anything like that. And it's not because I want to run around and go on 50 dates with 50 different people. That's not what it's about. It's about the fact that, you know, I make the decisions on where I go on vacation, on what I decide I'm going to do on the weekend, who I'm going to spend my time with, whether it's going to be my granddaughter or my brother and go hang out at his house, or just hang out at home with my sister and my niece. It's all up to me to decide. And I like having that freedom to decide what I want to do and when I want to do it. So my idea of a perfect situation, I should call it maybe a situationship. I've heard that word before. It's not one for my generation, but it makes sense. So the perfect situationship for me would be someone that I can, call up whenever I feel like it, and hey, let's go out and have some dinner, or let's go play some golf, let's go bowling or whatever. I want to learn how to play pickleball, so maybe I can find somebody to play pickleball with. I've never played it before, but I really want to learn. So it seems to be all the rage now is pickleball. So I'm interested in learning that, or even somebody to just like watch a movie with or whatever. But I want it to be on my terms. It not to say that I want to dictate everything about it, but I don't want to have someone who is constantly calling, constantly texting, or wants to see me all the time, because that's just I feel smothered in those situations, and I don't want to feel smothered. So anyway, but I do. I guess maybe some people would say it's cynical to have the ideas about marriage that I have, that I don't think it's really a good idea. But to be honest, in this day and age, it's just not necessary. It's really not. And you know, for women, if they want to have children, they can do that without getting married, because that's the biggest thing that women, I think, they have that innate desire. Not all women, but most women do have that innate desire to be a mother, and I highly recommend. I highly recommend that, because it was like the best thing I ever did. And but see, I only had one child too. That's the other thing. One child. I always said one is a lovely number. I would have had more children, though. It wasn't that I didn't want more children. I love children, and but it just ended up that way because of circumstances. So I only had one child, and but being that I did become a single mom, I became a single mom when my daughter was 6 months old. Her dad. I don't know if I've told the story about her dad, but he got into the Nation of Islam, the Black Muslim movement, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that movement. And Islam is, it's just another religion, and it has. I don't know. I know a lot about it because I learned a lot about it from him, but I'm not. I'm a spiritual person, but I'm not religious. But I was raised in the church, so I was raised in like the Pentecostal faith, and I did a video about that. But for me, I've got a different view on it, and I don't really uh, um, subscribe to any religion, because I believe religion's man-made. And I know this might sound like it doesn't make sense, but I don't think religion has anything to do with God. I think they're two different things. And so, anyway, back in the day, though, when he decided to go get into the Islam, he decided that he could not be married to me because I was not the same faith. And anyway, we got. He asked me for. We split up. We didn't get divorced until like a couple of years later, but we split up when my daughter was 6 months old. So I became a single mom, and that was not on my bingo card. That was not what I was planning. And so when that did happen, it did make me actually really thankful I only had one child, because any single mom knows out there knows that it is not easy at all. And so to only have one child does make it easier. I mean, it really does, because financially it was very rough. And I always, I'd always say to myself, I couldn't imagine if I had more than one kid to feed and clothe, because that would be hard. But anyway, so I think I lost my train of thought. But women can have children. They don't have to get married to have children. So, and women can pretty much, do whatever they want. They have their choices. Although a lot of our choices, some of our choices have been taken away from us. Our own autonomy with our bodies is being taken away from us. Let's hope that when someone else is in office, that will change. But for the most part, we have choices that we never had in the past. So it becomes more and more, in my view, that marriage becomes really just unnecessary. And, the idea of having a wedding, it's fun. That's a fun idea. But you got to also really, really think about what comes after that, you know. So, yeah. But I'm going to continue with the storytelling on this podcast. And I would really love it if any of you have any stories that you'd like to share or you'd like me to tell. So if you do, just leave a comment. My email address is, I think it's make it make sense 63 at gmail.com. I'm not sure though. I have to look it up. I don't remember because I don't use, I created that email address just for this podcast. So I don't remember exactly what it is, but I'll put it in the description. And if you want to send me an email, you're more than welcome to. And sorry, I thought maybe they were coming to cut the grass, but that's the neighbor. So anyway, he does like landscaping or whatever. So anyway, sorry to get distracted. I just wanted to sit outside today because we've been having some really crappy weather here. It's been like maybe like early spring weather, or maybe, no, I would say maybe like fall. It's been chilly and rainy, and it is almost the end of May, and I'm in Kentucky, and normally the weather here right now would be at least in the mid 80s pretty consistently, but it hasn't been. And, I think that all has to do with climate change myself. But, I know there's people that don't believe in it, but it's definitely real. But the weird, odd changes in the weather just get me every time, though. And the weather has been just not good for this time of year. And I'm just so ready for the summer, and I'm ready for it to be hot. And I did see in the forecast we have some warmer weather coming, but yeah, around here it's supposed to be hot and it's not hot. I don't like that. But anyway, so I do want to tell stories. I will continue to tell my own stories. I've got plenty of them, or even get permission from people that I know that I can tell their stories. But I would love to hear stories from anybody, and it can be about anything. But I like to really focus on just stories of either, it can be a very happy event that happened in your life, or it can even be something that was traumatic that taught you a lesson, or that really impacted you in some way, or maybe where you came to a crossroads in your life and you made a choice that really just changed the whole trajectory of your life. That's definitely happened to me. So I'd love to hear your stories. So, And also, I want to remind you, if you enjoy my content, please like. It's the thumbs up. It's down here in the corner, and you just hit the thumbs up. And also over on this side, there is a subscribe button. Both of these things are free, but it does help to push the videos out into the algorithm and to expand my audience. And my audience is growing very, very slowly. So I really want to get the content out there. And it just would really help me a lot if you could just hit like and hit subscribe. And you can also be notified. There's a little bell you can push to get notified when a new video is up. And so I feel a lot more excited about this now that I've decided to go back to my original idea, because trying to report on the news is just a lot. It is too much. And it is like constant all day in your face, in your face. And I was like, you know what? I think we need something different to talk about. And, you know, I like, even some of the people that I follow, they'll take a day to talk about something else. And one person, I'm going to mention this and I'm going to stop, but one person that I have been watching is Nancy Grace. And I laugh because, Nancy Grace has been on TV for years and years and years. Okay. I don't remember what station she used to be on, but it was back in the day when we didn't have podcasts. I remember her covering the Casey Anthony case, and she really, really lays into the perpetrators of crimes. She's just not afraid to let you know how she feels about that person. And but she does good crime reporting, though. She gives you a lot of details. So she's been covering the Diddy trial. So I've been watching her covering the Diddy trial, and she gets so animated, and she cracks me up. She really does. Not that there's anything funny about what Diddy's being accused of, but the way that she reports it is it's funny. So I recommend going and watching Nancy Grace if you want some information. She'll give you the information. They definitely tell you everything that's going on with the trial, but she does it in such a way that it just makes you laugh. I don't think she's trying to be funny, but she's just very, very passionate and very animated, and it's quite funny. She hasn't changed. She's always been that way. But yeah, I remember watching her, like I said, when she was covering the Casey Anthony case, and yeah, she really gets animated and passionate for sure. So I recommend it if you want a break from all the other stuff. So anyway, again, like I said, like and subscribe. And everybody have a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye.